Billionaire's wife laughs as she strolls into Judge Caprio's courtroom, Chanel heels clicking, Gucci purse swinging, completely sure the law doesn't touch her. But in that very courtroom, a single judgment is about to shatter her world, leaving her pride in ruins and the audience gasping for justice. Today, the world watches as Madison Carter, heiress to a billion-dollar fortune, faces Judge Frank Caprio. She's known for her arrogance, her Instagram posts dripping with wealth, her disdain for anyone not in her circle. Today, her laughter echoes through the marble walls, a sound filled with contempt and entitlement. But behind that laughter lies a story of reckoning, one that will shake her to her core. Judge Caprio, known for his unmatched wisdom and empathy, holds the power to humble even the most untouchable. What will happen when a courtroom meets arrogance head-on? Can wealth truly shield someone from accountability, or will justice, in its purest form, find a way to strike? The answer will astonish everyone in that room. Madison Carter steps into the courtroom wearing a tailored silk dress, pale pink, embroidered with subtle gold accents that catch the light with every movement. Her Gucci handbag hangs from her elbow, heavy with the latest tech gadgets, while her Louboutin heels echo sharply on the polished marble. She doesn't glance at anyone as she passes. The room is just background to her spotlight. A smirk plays on her lips as whispers follow her every step. "Daddy's money, Daddy's rules," she seems to say without uttering a word. Judge Frank Caprio looks over his glasses, calm but alert. He has seen entitlement before, but something about Madison radiates a level of disregard that cannot be ignored. Today, he will teach more than just a legal lesson. The clerk announces the case. Madison rolls her eyes, tapping her manicured nails against her Prada phone case. She flips her hair, letting it cascade perfectly over her shoulder, as if the court exists solely for her amusement. "This is ridiculous," she mutters, barely loud enough for the nearest officer to hear. Her first interaction with the law isn't even verbal. She shoves a file toward her lawyer without looking, clearly believing her presence alone will sway the proceedings. The audience shifts uncomfortably. A young woman seated in the courtroom, the alleged victim, clutches her bag tightly, eyes darting nervously toward Madison. This is not just a case, it's a confrontation of worlds. The lawyer attempts a preliminary explanation, but Madison interrupts. "Honestly, I don't see why I'm even here," she says, laughter spilling out, the kind of laughter that stings with arrogance. Her tone is cutting, dismissive. The courtroom, which had started in hushed murmurs, now holds a tense silence. Is this truly how someone so wealthy treats the law? Judge Caprio leans forward slightly, not a word yet. His presence alone commands the room, a quiet storm brewing behind calm eyes. Madison's laughter rises, oblivious to the growing tension. She taps her phone again, scrolling through social media, sending a text to someone with a private jet emoji. As if her life outside this room is infinitely more important than the proceedings. Then, a piece of paper slips from her designer clutch onto the floor. She barely glances down before flicking it away. It's a contract, a record, an agreement, something she clearly underestimated. The audience notices, and a murmur ripples through the room. The victim's mother exhales quietly, holding her breath, sensing that the balance of power might begin to shift. Judge Caprio finally speaks. His voice is calm but heavy with authority. "Madison Carter," he says, "today is not about wealth. Today is about truth." Madison freezes, a spark of unease flashing across her flawless face. Could he possibly mean what the murmurs suggest? That money does not make one untouchable? The clerk calls the first witness, a key neighbor who had witnessed Madison's reckless behavior firsthand. Madison leans back, confident, brushing imaginary dust from her dress. But the witness's words are sharp, detailed, and undeniable. Every claim she had laughed off moments ago now takes shape in testimony that pierces the veneer of her confidence. A rhetorical question hangs in the air. Can arrogance survive when truth walks into the room like a hurricane? Madison's smile falters slightly. She straightens, suddenly aware that laughter alone might not protect her. And just as the tension reaches a peak, the doors at the back of the courtroom open, and another figure enters, a surprise witness, someone connected to the victim in a way Madison never expected. Every eye turns. The air thickens. The first crack in Madison's armor is about to form. But what happened next left the entire courtroom speechless. The doors swing open again, and in walks a young man carrying a folder thick with documents, his eyes sharp and determined. Madison Carter barely glances at him, assuming he is just another clerk or an assistant. She smirks, leaning back, thinking this will be another tedious moment she can laugh off, but the room immediately senses something different. The energy shifts. Judge Caprio gestures calmly. "Please proceed," he says, voice measured but commanding. The young man steps forward, laying out evidence that no one expected. Photographs, receipts, even videos that expose Madison's reckless behavior. Her smirk falters as each piece lands on the table. The audience gasps quietly, not out of shock alone, but at the sheer weight of truth presented with undeniable clarity. One photograph shows Madison stepping onto a private neighbor's property, her designer heels sinking slightly into the manicured lawn, her eyes rolling in disdain, as if the world belonged to her. Another document lists the unauthorized charges she had forced her household staff to submit for her extravagant whims. Each piece paints a picture of entitlement, privilege unchecked, and consequences ignored, until now. Her lawyer attempts to intervene, waving hands, muttering objections. But Judge Caprio is patient. He allows the evidence to speak for itself, his gaze unwavering, his presence firm. Madison's laughter dies entirely. The courtroom, once a stage for her arrogance, has transformed into a place where truth cannot be ignored. A mini cliffhanger emerges as the young man pulls out a video clip from Madison's phone. Private, yet damning. It captures her dismissing a delivery worker, mocking their uniform, and laughing about how peons exist for her amusement. The room falls silent. Not even her father's name on the billion-dollar fortune list can protect her now. The victim, sitting in the front row, feels a wave of vindication. This is what they had feared and hoped for in equal measure. Judge Caprio looks directly at Madison. "Do you understand the impact of these actions?" he asks, calm yet piercing. Madison opens her mouth but finds no words strong enough to dismiss what has just been revealed. Her designer nails tap nervously on her bag. The arrogance that carried her into the courtroom just minutes ago is now wobbling under the weight of undeniable proof. Rhetorical question: what happens when the world you thought would protect you suddenly turns against you? Madison realizes that privilege cannot erase behavior. It cannot rewrite what has been done, what has been witnessed, and what can now be proven beyond a shadow of doubt. The young man continues presenting more evidence, emails, screenshots, and even a signed statement from an aide who was previously afraid to speak. Each revelation digs deeper into Madison's web of entitlement and disregard for rules. The audience feels the tension climb, gripping their seats, sensing the inevitable shift in power. Judge Caprio pauses, letting the weight of the evidence sink in. He does not need to raise his voice. The room is already holding its collective breath. Madison shifts uncomfortably, now aware that the court is no longer just a stage for performance, it is a place of accountability. At this moment, someone in the audience whispers, barely audible, she finally meets someone she can't buy off. The statement hangs in the air like a drumbeat signaling the climax of a long-ignored moral reckoning. And just as the tension reaches its peak, the clerk hands Judge Caprio a confidential report, something no one expected to enter the courtroom. Madison glances at it briefly, her face paling. This is a surprise witness that could change everything. The room races itself for what is about to unfold. But what happened when this unexpected evidence was revealed left Madison speechless and the courtroom on the edge of disbelief. The courtroom grows silent as the clerk hands over a tablet containing a private recording. Madison Carter glances at it, her eyes widening ever so slightly. The moment she hits play, every whisper, every shallow laugh she carried in from the hallway dissolves into heavy tension. The recording captures her own words, directed at the young victim. The arrogance, the cruelty, the sense of invincibility. It's all there. The victim, seated at the front, swallows hard, her hands trembling but her eyes fixed. She had feared this confrontation for weeks, reliving the humiliation in her mind. Now, with Madison's own words laid bare, the silence itself becomes a form of justice. Every gasp breath in the courtroom seems to echo the pain Madison had inflicted. Judge Caprio leans slightly forward, his eyes fixed on Madison. "Do you recognize what you've done here?" His voice is firm but patient, carrying a weight that even Madison cannot ignore. She hesitates, her perfect posture faltering for the first time, as if the G round beneath her privilege is shifting. Madison opens her mouth, trying to craft a clever excuse, but the words die in her throat. The video continues, showing her mocking the victim's family, flaunting wealth, and claiming that money could erase any wrong. Each laugh, each sneer, lands heavily on her conscience as if it were a mirror she cannot look away from. A rhetorical question slices through the tension when faced with undeniable truth: can arrogance survive? Madison's eyes dart around the room, looking for an escape, but there is none. The audience, leaning forward in their seats, feels the weight of every insult, every injustice. Suddenly, the young witness from the previous chapter stands and speaks. Her voice shakes at first, but gains strength with every word. She recounts the sleepless nights, the constant fear, the way Madison's actions made her feel invisible, powerless, and humiliated. The courtroom listens in rapt silence. Even the lawyers who had prepared defenses remain frozen. Madison squirms in her seat, her laughter completely extinguished. The victim's mother quietly dabs her eyes, silently urging her daughter to keep going. The emotional intensity is palpable. This is more than evidence, it's raw human impact, a mirror of consequences that money cannot erase. The room collectively senses the turning point. Madison's world of entitlement is colliding with reality. Judge Caprio's gaze intensifies, piercing through Madison's veneer. This courtroom is not a place for laughter when another human has been hurt, he says slowly, deliberately. It is a place for accountability, understanding, and, if possible, redemption. Madison flinches. The words hit harder than any reprimand she has ever received. At that exact moment, Madison's lawyer whispers something hurriedly, trying to regain control. But Judge Caprio lifts his hand, signaling silence. "Let the truth speak for itself," he commands. The silence that follows is deafening, a storm waiting to break. Mini cliffhanger. As the tension builds, Madison's father leans forward, whispering urgently, trying to pull her back into their world of wealth. But Madison suddenly stands, trembling, and the entire courtroom braces for her reaction. In that moment of raw emotion, Madison's internal walls begin to crack. For the first time, she considers the weight of her actions beyond wealth. Beyond social status. It's a human reckoning. And as the audience senses the shift, they hear Judge Caprio's unmistakable call to reflection echoing quietly in their minds. Engagement device, hit that subscribe button if you want to witness the moment when arrogance meets justice and karma unfolds in the most unexpected way. But just as everyone thought Madison might escape completely, Judge Caprio rises, ready to deliver words that will forever change the course of this courtroom and her life. Judge Frank Caprio rises slowly, the weight of the courtroom's attention settling on him like a hush before a storm. Madison Carter sits frozen, her designer dress pristine but her composure beginning to fray. The silence is thick, heavy, and pregnant with anticipation. Every eye in the room focuses on the man who has the power to reshape the narrative entirely. "Madison," he begins, his voice calm yet commanding, each word deliberate. "I have seen many walk into this courtroom with wealth, with privilege, with the belief that rules are suggestions rather than boundaries. Today, you are no different. But what separates true character from entitlement is simple: empathy, accountability, and understanding the weight of your actions on others." Madison shifts uncomfortably, her fingers tightening around her Gucci handbag strap. She had laughed moments ago, certain her father's fortune and her influence would shield her. Now, under Caprio's gaze, she realizes that neither money nor status can erase truth. He continues, pacing just slightly, his tone rising but never losing control. "You may have thought that laughter could mask cruelty. You may have thought that social media fame, brands, and wealth could make consequences disappear. But here, in this courtroom, there are no filters, no sponsors, no walls strong enough to hide from accountability." A rhetorical question cuts through the tension like a knife. What is the value of wealth if it cannot protect you from the truth of your actions? Madison's smile disappears entirely, replaced with an almost imperceptible flicker of fear. The courtroom feels the weight of his words pressing down, like gravity realigning her world. Judge Caprio gestures toward the victim. This young woman came here seeking justice, seeking acknowledgement of her pain, and seeking the chance for her voice to be heard. You, Madison, had the choice to act differently, to treat others with respect and kindness. Instead, you chose arrogance. He pauses, letting the words hang. Madison fidgets, brushing imaginary lint from her dress, realizing that no amount of designer clothing can shield her from the magnitude of her mistakes. Every detail of her past actions, the sneers, the dismissive gestures, the laughter, suddenly seems insignificant compared to the truth laid bare. Justice, he continues, voice rising with moral authority, is not about punishment alone. It is about understanding, reflection, and, when possible, redemption. You have been given the opportunity to face your actions honestly, without shield or distraction. And in doing so, you may yet discover the path to becoming someone better. The courtroom is silent, save for the occasional intake of breath. Even Madison's lawyer, used to arguing for dismissals, feels the weight of Caprio's words. The young victim watches, hope and relief intertwining, sensing that the scales may finally tip in her favor. Judge Caprio leans slightly forward, eyes locking with Madison's. You are not beyond redemption. But it begins with acknowledgement, accountability, and a willingness to change. Laughter may have brought you here, but understanding and humility can carry you forward. Mini cliffhanger. Madison's eyes well with tears, an emotion she has never displayed in public. The audience holds its collective breath, wondering if this is the first crack in a lifelong armor of privilege. Will she finally grasp the lesson she has resisted for so long? Engagement device. Drop a comment below if you believe that true change comes not from wealth, but from facing the consequences of one's actions. As Judge Caprio steps back, Madison's hands tremble, her Gucci handbag slipping slightly. The courtroom waits, silent, as the final moment of karma approaches, an ending that no one, not even Madison, could have predicted. Madison Carter sits frozen, the weight of Judge Caprio's words pressing down on her like a tidal wave. Her hands tremble over her Gucci handbag, fingers tightening as if holding on to the last vestige of control she thought she had. For the first time in her life, she feels exposed, vulnerable, not to the world, but to truth. The courtroom holds its collective breath. The victim rises slowly, voice steady now, recounting one final moment of Madison's recklessness. A night when Madison flaunted her wealth at a charity gala, publicly humiliating those who tried to intervene. Each word lands like a hammer strike, echoing through the marble halls. Madison's face pales, and the first tears well in her eyes. Her laughter, once her armor, has vanished completely. Judge Caprio's gaze softens, his voice gentle but unwavering. Madison, accountability is difficult, pride makes it painful, but facing the consequences of your actions is the first step toward becoming a person worthy of respect. The young heiress swallows hard, nodding slowly, her perfect posture giving way to genuine humility. A rhetorical question pierces the tension. What is the value of wealth when it cannot buy integrity, compassion, or understanding? Madison's eyes flick toward the victim, a silent recognition passing between them, a moment of human connection that money could never manufacture. The courtroom is silent, except for the soft sobs of Madison, unheard until now. Her father sits stiffly, clearly shocked, unsure how to intervene. But Judge Caprio steps in again, his tone firm. Today is not about humiliation. Today is about learning, reflecting, and, if one is willing, redemption. The clerk hands Madison a blank sheet of paper. Judge Caprio nods. She hesitates, then picks up the pen, her hand shaking. Slowly, carefully, she begins to write an apology, sincere words that acknowledge the pain she caused, the arrogance she displayed, and the mistakes she refuses to repeat. Each sentence is a step down from her pedestal, a gesture that no social media post or designer label could ever replace. The courtroom watches, captivated. The victim's shoulders relax slightly, a mixture of relief and validation washing over her. For the first time, Madison Carter experiences the human weight of remorse, the gravity of humility, and the profound liberation of owning her actions. Judge Caprio leans forward, voice rich with authority and warmth. Redemption is possible when one faces truth and embraces change. Today, Madison Carter has begun that journey, and for all who have observed, let this be a reminder: justice is not bought, it is earned through accountability, understanding, and empathy. Mini cliffhanger. Just as Madison finishes her letter, she looks up and smiles, a small, tentative, but genuine smile. The audience senses a transformation, the kind that turns arrogance into grace, cruelty into compassion. Her journey is far from over, but the first steps have been taken. Engagement device, hit that subscribe button if you believe that even the most spoiled, arrogant person can change when faced with the truth. The courtroom exhales collectively. Tears mix with quiet murmurs of approval. The victim offers a subtle nod, Madison bows her head in acknowledgement, and Judge Caprio sits back, allowing the moment to settle like a soft, enduring echo of justice. The lesson is clear. No amount of money, status, or power can shield one from accountability, but genuine remorse can lead to transformation. Madison Carter leaves the courtroom a changed person. She may still own Prada, Gucci, and Chanel, but she carries now something far more valuable: the awareness of consequences and the weight of empathy. The billionaire's laughter, once a weapon, has been replaced by humility. Judge Frank Caprio, as always, has shown that justice is both firm and human. His courtroom remains a place where truth triumphs, where arrogance meets reality, and where redemption is always possible for those willing to face themselves. If you were inspired by Madison's transformation, drop a comment below, hit that like button, and share this story. Don't forget to subscribe to witness more incredible courtroom stories, and ring the bell to ensure you never miss a lesson in justice, karma, and heartwarming redemption. Some lessons are worth more than money, and this one proves it. Madison steps outside into the sunlight, unsure of her next move, but one thing is certain: the world has seen her humbled, and karma has never been sweeter.